Welcome back to the Skips Tactical Solutions podcast. I'm your host, Avery. This week we have a special guest. Our special guest is Kevin Dixie. If you don't know about Kevin Dixie, I don't know what rock you've been hiding under, but after this episode, you will know exactly who Kevin Dixie is. So Kevin, or also known as KD, thanks for joining.
No, thanks for having me. I appreciate you, and thank you for the warm introduction.
So I didn't really give him proper credit. I want him to run through exactly who Kevin Dixie is. And Kevin Dixie is the owner of No Other Choice Firearms Training.
Yep.
So I'm going to let him tell us a little bit about himself and what got him started.
All right. Well, thank you for the opportunity. I'll be short and sweet. That way you can probe me for more. But yeah, like Skip said, you know my name now. I'm out of St. Louis, Missouri. That's where No Other Choice is founded at. We've been LLC since about 2013, but I have been teaching people firearms training unofficially or under a different umbrella for roughly 15, 16 years now. I started off my firearms adventure with the St. Louis City Police Department. I was there for roughly 10 years, and our division are called prisoner processing. So I think around the country is more so referred to as a jailer. Our job description was a little bit different, though. We had a lot of firearms training because we had a lot of things we had to do with firearms: prisoner transport, protection of certain entities on the exterior, police headquarters, things like that. So got exposed to firearms training when I was 21 professionally, the right way. And I got addicted. Like the moment that the thing went boom and put a hole in the thing, I was like, what just happened? Like, what was that? Like, explain everything to me. So I was the annoying person that wound up stalking everybody that knew something about firearms, including guys at the academy. That's just what I did. I wanted to know why the widget went boom and went bang and did the thing. I just did. I wanted to know everything. So I did, and then started No Other Choice. Long story short, that was my profession allowed me to see a lot of good people make bad decisions. And I've been telling people for a long time, self-defense is anything but common sense. And I also dealt with walking, talking creatures. That's what these people were. I dealt with some of the worst of the worst. Murderers, serial rapists, you name them. I dealt with them. So I wanted people to understand that there were individuals walking this earth that will hurt you, carjackers, armed robbers, just et cetera, et cetera. So, and I got to see them every day. I got to see the people that you only saw on the news. So I wanted people to understand that there was a balance, but when I gave you a skill set or taught you a skill set, or the community, as far as firearm community goes, I think there was a void and they weren't teaching people the right way. I saw a lot of schools, tactical murder, death, kill, assassination squad, training LLC, and all these really, really aggressive names. And I just wanted to fill a niche, not down on anybody else, but I wanted to fill a niche. So I decided that I wanted people to understand that having a firearm or having any skill set or anything in your hand that can hurt somebody, you should be at a point of no other choice before you ever place a negative impact on another human being, even if they deserve it, as long as you're not allowing yourself or another innocent person to be hurt in the process. And that is my way of extending God's grace and mercy to another. So I wanted to make sure that I gave that philosophy. Like, we're not going to be hurt, but at the same time, we're not going to go out looking for reasons to hurt people. And I think if you think about the laws being the size of a bus, I try to get people to operate inside the moral compass the size of a basketball. And so that's what I started. And that turned into, for years, I've been doing mentorship in different ways. And so I decided that I was running around doing mentorship, running around training people, just trying to be a good, giving back to the community, trying to just be a good representation of what can happen when you come from, the inner city, as people call it, the hood, whatever you want to relate to. I grew up in the worst of the worst. Outside of my door was a tombstone retailer. Across the street from my house was the city's largest cemetery. Prostitution, drug dealing, gang banging, whole 9 yards was literally at my doorstep, and sometimes it infiltrated my home. So I just wanted to make sure that I was a voice for individuals that understood that, you can come from that environment, the fatherless home, born to a 13-year-old mom, foster care, and the whole 9 yards, just a tragic upbringing, challenges with mental health and rape and molestation and the whole 9 yards. So I wanted to be able to go around and show people that you can succeed past what your environment set up for you, beyond those environmental conditions or those societal ills. And I want to show you and be a good representation of how you can do that. How can you come from that to someone who held on to their rights with firearms, who understands who they are, and is able to, get a college education, have a beautiful family, raise wonderful kids, and really snap those generational curses. And so I decided to put them all under the same roof. Like, why can't I do both? So no other choice, got a spinoff nonprofit division called Aiming for the Truth. And we are spending time focusing on what causes people to be violent, but we can cure violence at its roots instead of blaming any tool or even anybody else. We want to actually get and deal with the person and help them. So we get in rooms, we fight things out, and we help people. And then we educate them about what responsible arms are and give people the ability to defend themselves. So it's about building a life, having equity in their life, and understanding how you should be able to defend it without the risk of losing your freedom. So that's who I am, and that's what I run around and do all the time.
So that was a lot. And what I will say is that's a lot to dissect, but I take from that someone has history, someone is invested, and someone is looking to be the change that they want to see. And I see myself in that a lot as well, because you saw a hole and you wanted to fill it. So that's awesome.
Yeah, absolutely. We can sit around and we all do, myself included. We sit around and we observe things. And I just say, if you're observing something, that's what you're doing. You're just observing it. But if you are going to be a change agent, then you gotta get into action. You gotta get out there and do something. There is no such thing as I wish somebody would for me. If I see something that's a big enough problem for me, I go try to fill it. Even if I fail, I'll go try.
So as far as your firearms, you said that you started once you entered into the police realm.
Mm-hmm.
But did you grow up around firearms at all?
No, guns. Well, yeah, not in a responsible manner, right? Guns were taboo if they were held by a good guy, because that just didn't happen often. You would see cops with guns, but cops didn't come in my neighborhood a lot. They won't patrol my neighborhood because of they always got shot at, to be honest with you. And so they wouldn't patrol my neighborhood, and when they did come, they came in force. So you didn't really get to see them a lot. You didn't have a ton of that personal one-on-one interaction, with whom you knew to carry a gun. So there were two C's that carry guns. There were cops and criminals. And, it just wasn't right. Now, my first encounter with a gun, like my first time holding one, I should say. I've had several guns. I mean, I had a gun. I think the first gun that was ever pointed at me, I think I was matter of fact, I was in the 8th grade. That was the first time I ever had a gun like pointed at me in a violent manner, like I'm going to hurt you with this gun. Was in the 8th grade, and that was by a 30-plus-year-old man. But the first time before that I actually held a gun, I had a buddy come down to my house. He was like, "Hey man, come up the street to my house real quick." So we went up there. His parents went at home. We went into his parents' room. We found the gun. We went outside. We figured out how to load the thing. We shot it. And I'm very open with telling people that roughly 30 days later, because I fell in love with that experience, right? But I really couldn't figure out why. I didn't think it was really the pow poom of the gun, right? And it wound up being because of all the things that I had dealt with as a child. It wound up being that I was clinically depressed, and I didn't know it. I found out roughly 30 days later when I went in to see somebody. And that was thanks to one of the good neighbors I had. I went in to see somebody. So the reason why I fell in with the gun originally was because I had thoughts of suicide as a child. So it was dealing with all that. And then while I'm dealing with that and trying to come up and be a much stronger, confident young man, then it's getting robbed. Got robbed a couple of times just walking to school by different gang sets and things like that. Hell, one of the first guys that robbed me was actually a classmate. And he barely came to school, but I remember him being in social studies. But he robbed part-time, I guess. I don't know. He multitasked. So it was a very interesting experience. But when I finally did get to the guns the right way, I decided that not only would I be educated, really about what they are, I'm going to make sure that my offspring and the people I encounter don't see the guns just in the hands of cops or criminals, that there is the larger portion of the middle ground that we can hold in. Nothing against anybody, any cop whatsoever, but at the same time, I don't depend on the police to have to protect me as an individual. I depend on them to protect the community, but I don't depend on them to protect me as an individual. So I tell everybody, no matter what your feelings are toward police or toward anybody else, your personal responsibility is to yourself. And I want to make sure I pass that along, past that to everybody I encounter moving forward.
I agree with that as well. I want the police, I definitely want them to be there, but they're not going to be right there beside me every single minute, every single hour, every single day. And so you need to be, I mean, like they always say, you need to be your own first responder. And then after that, I may need to call them and inform them on what's happened, you know, but they're not going to always be there.
Not that very, they're just not. And look, not that they wouldn't want to be, right? There are some people that put on that uniform that, you know, really would die for you, seriously. But if they're, you know, picking up a cup of coffee or dealing with, you know, a traffic stop or, you know, trying to find a kid's parents or whatever the case may be, they don't know what's happening to you 8 blocks away. Hell, they don't know what's happening to you around the corner or behind the next door. So you have to be able to take that responsibility responsibly. That's the key word that everybody misses. You have to be able to take it responsibly into your own hands and be your own first responder. Absolutely.
Yep. So no other choice firearms training. What's some of the things that you guys do?
I do all the way up to the cool stuff as far as training goes. So dealing with training alone, we deal with everything and anything in between. But I will tell you what we don't kind of deal with. So I will work with children all the way up to adults. Obviously, when you get to so that includes family firearm safety training without actual guns being present. That includes taking your child out for the first shot. That includes concealed carry classes all the way up to you want to learn how to fight your way out of a vehicle or do QCB or whatever you want to do. We can do anything that you need to learn to protect yourself, including how to be an assault force. So if you need to go on the offensive from the defensive, make no mistake about it, sometimes that will happen, even though I want people to always think about it as a sport. You're always playing defense, but when you go on offense, you go on the offense pretty strong. So yeah, I like to say I'm the kind of the one-stop shop. Like I want you to be able to come in and there's nothing wrong with you bringing your 7-year-old child one day and them learning, or your 10 or 12-year-old, all the way up to, okay, now dad or mom wants to take an anti-carjacking class. And how do we do that? How do I clear my house? You know, how do I run this thing? What is a rifle? What is this thing? And what do I do with it? How do I fight with it? So I'm the family firearm guy, you know, but I will definitely teach the adults that need to know the more aggressive skill set, if you will. And the only thing that we really don't do a lot of, I will sublet it out, as I never really got into shotguns that big. Like I can run a shotgun, or, you know, don't get me wrong, but I don't feel, besides Shotgun 101, I will show you that. I am not the guy to really teach you tactical shotgun, if that makes sense. So outside of Shotgun 101, which I do offer, outside of that, we don't offer, and I don't do long distance, only because my terrain, being in Missouri, we don't have that luxury to be stretching out 1,000 yards, 800 yards. So we don't offer that because I'm not going to lie to people. I'm not going to have you come out and train with something that I can't give you exactly what you deserve. So besides those two things, we do everything else.
So what is your most popular class?
Most popular class is definitely a pistol Evolve 1. So we call our classes Evolve. So I am looking to evolve you as a performer with the firearm.
Okay.
So Evolve 1 pistol is our number 1 favorite class, and Evolve 1 rifle is our second. So those Evolve 1s are. I think that Evolve 2 and 3 aren't as popular because they start really challenging people, and I don't think some people we don't want that because it'll physically challenge you, more so mentally. I'm not the guy that's out there. I don't have you doing 100 push-ups, and there's nothing wrong with that because it does get stress going. You will do some physical exertion, do not get me wrong. But I like to really push the mind, because you know what? The body can do amazing things under stress, even for a short amount of time. Not saying you shouldn't be physically fit. You definitely should. But the mind, man, when that mind goes, everything's out the window, right? So, but I think the descriptions of the class and what they think they might encounter, I think it has fewer people taking those classes. But those would be the number 2 favorites.
So I think this is a great segue. This is something that I was thinking about earlier this week. When it comes to training, I really don't feel like a lot of people take it seriously. What's your thoughts?
They don't. Majority of people don't. But you can see that very easily when you look at things like just people, like you can kind of tell the people that, which is the normal person really, that owns a gun and maybe took a class or two, maybe, and those are very, very elementary. And I think that guns are so awesome that people get a false confidence with them. So as soon as they can point it at a thing and put a hole anywhere in that sheet of paper, that's it. Okay, I'm done. Because I can put the things in the thing. I can put that inside the gun. I can pull that thing back or drop that safety if I got one and point and squeeze and a hole hit the thing somewhere. And I think that that's a false confidence, right? And people don't feel like they need training. Firearms training is also one of those things that is plastered everywhere. And it makes people think that, well, so many people are teaching it and doing it. And because I can watch YouTube, that I can just learn online and I don't have to take training. But even some of the best instructors that put out hours and hours on YouTube will tell you there's nothing that's going to substitute for the real thing. So it's a false confidence, one. And I think people believe that this is easy and that the information is so readily available. Why train? Why?
Yeah. As an instructor, I try to find different ways to communicate the importance of training. And I'm really at a loss when it comes to, because you see so many things in the news, and I think about the amount of people that I've interacted with, like the vast majority of people have not taken a professional class. And I look at it as, if something were to happen and if you use your firearm by defending yourself, right, there's going to be an investigation. You know, there's going to be a lot of questions that are going to be asked, and you may be criminally liable for something. I would assume that they're going to ask you, have you ever been professionally trained? Like, that may be taken into consideration. And I don't think a lot of people really think about that. But how proficient are you with your firearm? Like, just buying something at a store, them walking you through it. They do like a quick, hey, this is your gun, this is your safety, this is how you load it, this is how you unload it, maybe.
Mm-hmm.
But I just want to see how you felt about that, because I personally feel like a lot of people don't take it serious. They will spend $500 to $1,000 on this nice new gun. They want the new hotness that came out. They may even put an RMR on it, right? Mm-hmm. But they're not investing in training.
Whew. Man, so I will say this, even as a guy who has the title instructor, I really consider myself more of a coach than anything. I'm Phil Jackson. I want to make a whole bunch of Michael Jordans. But that being said, I take training as often as I can. Now, I'm not in as many classes as I would like, just because I'm doing so many different things. But I've had guys that I trust that will yell at me, like, get your butt down here in my training class, dude. Like, come on. And, you know, I'll be, all right, got the kick in the butt, now I'll go make it happen. But we need to understand that buying gadgets and gadgets, as I call it, widgets and wadgets, or whatever you want to say, is awesome. I want you to do that and do more of it. At the same time, you need to take training. So one of the biggest arguments with this is constitutional carry, right? So people feel that constitutional carry is awesome and they don't need to train. And so here's the argument I have. One, I am conflicted with constitutional carry. And here's the reason why. I do totally agree with the concept that you don't need to go through the state for permission to carry a gun. It's a human right, and I don't think you should have to go through the state. So I'm with that, totally.
Yeah.
Where I get conflicted is I wish people, I don't need anybody to make a law. I just wish people would naturally do it. Go take training. And here's the most important reason why, to me, even before we get to actually applying the force, if you need to with the firearm. You sitting down 4 to 8 hours with somebody that is where they're going to cover more of the legal aspects of the law than anything is where that information is, where you should be going to seek that information. Talking to your buddies at the barbershop or your girls in the salon or your family at a barbecue is not going to do it. You need to sit in a room and you need to get the information around the legality surrounding things, right? So if you don't understand state history, what the state looks at, or court cases, or pure definitions, because people think self-defense is common sense. They really do. And I keep telling them it's not. Until you get into the nuances of that, you really don't know what you're setting yourself up for. So with great power comes great responsibility. So you got God's power in your hand, right? Somebody attacks you, you can defend yourself. Well, it's a lot of responsibility that comes with that, and you're void of the information that can keep you out of trouble. And then on top of that, you get into the whole, well, since you were minus the gun training, the actual squeezing the trigger. When that situation occurred, did you make the right decision? Did you know what to consider?
Yeah.
Did you take a shot and you didn't even realize that your round was literally 3 or 4 feet away from the person because you didn't understand how to control, your body alarm reaction or release? You didn't know how to do that. So I think that people don't realize what they're setting themselves up for due to the lack of education. Intelligence is the proper application of knowledge. You avoid the knowledge, which sets you up for a fair chance of having no intellect when it really comes to the gun. So, and not just the physical making it go bang, the actual gun and everything it encompasses. So I'm conflicted. I want people to take training though. And most people just make excuses, to be honest with you. And I'm gonna tell you, I have found, and it goes unpopular when I say this, but it's the truth. I have found that more women are apt to take training than guys.
Yeah.
They just are. I've noticed that. They just are. They're like, I want to know. And women are easier to teach. Absolutely easier to teach.
So you heard it here. Katie said it. Skip didn't say it. Katie said it.
Yeah, that's the truth. That's the truth. Women are easier to coach because I've noticed. Now, I'm not saying there aren't some women out there that are difficult. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah.
But I have definitely in my classes and in classes that I've attended where I'm the student and I'm shooting next to girls, they normally just set all the pride and all the ego and they set all that stuff down. It's over there in their purse or whatever. And sometimes it's the guys with the bravado, like, oh, I'm X this, or I've been shooting since I was 6 or 10 cans in the backyard. And you get them out there and you spend the first hour or two showing them what they're not capable of,
Yeah.
or showing them what they should be better at. And then you will see people breaking down. Me, myself, when I go to an instructor's class, the only thing I don't forget is safety. Everything else that I know goes out the window. I don't know nothing. Okay, so safety I got. Okay, so squeeze the trigger? What is a squeeze of the trigger, sir? Explain that to me. Like, I'm making you're going to teach me because I want to know. I want to know how you look at things and think about things. So yeah, but women are far easier to coach than men. And they shoot pretty damn good too. So there's that.
Yeah, there's that too. I think it's important when you're attending others' classes. A lot of people don't understand each instructor has their own style. And you can maybe it may be the way that a different instructor describes something. And you're like, oh yeah, I can use that when I'm trying to explain such and such in my class. So I don't think a lot of people understand how valuable it is to take instruction from others, because you're going to pick up something. Even if you're picking up how to not do something, you're picking up something from them.
Yeah, absolutely. I tell every instructor I encounter, I'll whisper to them, I'm stealing that, right?
I know. But I hate when you're going to steal something and you forgot what it was that you're going to steal. You're like, what was it?
Yeah, that's happened a couple of times. I started keeping better notes now. I take a notebook to most classes and do a little shorthand during the breaks to make sure I don't. So that's my way of doing it. I don't like recording people's classes. I do. But I think I don't want to put too much out because I want people to go take it. So
yeah.
I just get in the habit, keeping that little small notepad on you, just on breaks, just jot it down.
Yeah, there was something here recently and I was like, man, I needed to steal that, but I forgot what it was. So something else that I want to highlight right now is for those of you who are watching the YouTube live, you can see it. And if you're not watching the live, then you can head over and watch the live, please. I want you to notice that KD does not have on a hat. This is one of the first times that I've ever seen KD without a hat. And a little background is I just met KD last month in person. We had initially met on a YouTube live, and I think, was that early January?
It might have been, or late December. No, it wasn't late December because I took a 2-week break. So it was either early December or early January, one of the two.
Yeah, so I think it was early January that we met, and he was on a live, and I was on the live panel as well. And I was like, why did they put me on this live with this phenomenal speaker? Like, oh my God, what's going on? But I met him there and kind of chatted a bit, was just blown away about just his delivery and his mission. And then I went to SHOT Show and I was able to meet him in person at SHOT Show. So not only is he a great person, just interacting with him on the lives, and I know a lot of you have probably seen him on some of these lives, and I mean, he's all over the place doing a lot of amazing things, but I was able to meet this guy in person. And so at SHOT Show, he was, what do they call it, shaking and moving and shaking.
Moving and moving.
But I was able to see a little bit of what he was doing, kind of the behind the scenes of what Katie has going on. And just a lot going on. And he has a new gun that he is about to release, right?
Yeah, the official release here is in beginning of March. So we'll probably be the first few days of March. So I think we're definitely under 10 days. So as long as this website guy keeps trucking along, we'll have them out. The guns are ready. We're just waiting on the website to be able to process the orders a little bit easier. But yeah, I'm excited about that.
Okay, so I kind of want to backtrack because we kind of just snuck in there. Oh, and Katie has a gun coming out. Having a gun come out, I mean, phenomenal, right? One of those types of things that not everyone will have. And I mean, I look up to him. He has his own gun. And I want you guys to hear a little bit about his gun. For those of you who are on the live and you can see it, you will actually be able to see it. But if you're not on the live, I want you to go to the live and see it, or go to one of my social media pages and check out the photos of his gun. So Katie, you are about to release your own gun. I was going to ask you what's your favorite handgun, but I mean, I think you may be a little biased.
Yeah, I might have a little bias.
But tell us a little bit about your gun. I'm not going to steal the thunder, but I want you to tell the Skips Tactical Solutions family about your gun.
All right, I'll try to, I talk a lot, so I'll try to keep it under 4 minutes. So at SHOT Show, I released my signature line of firearm on the floor of SHOT Show at the M-Force booth. Was pleased with the interaction. The videos collectively over all the platforms are, I think, well over 2 million hits now. So the word definitely is getting out and going further and further. So when I got to the point where I wanted to release a gun, I have been designing behind the scenes my own ideas for my own personal gun for the last couple of years. And I just, it was just for me. It wasn't for sale or anything. I was just going to get one up done for myself. And I noticed that, hey, I have something else that I can bring to the table. And I just didn't want to put out another gun. So I sat, and about a year and a half ago, I said, you know what? I want to do something bold. I want to do something different. And I want to do something impactful that means something outside of me. And so when we have these conversations about gun control, you will hear a bunch of different things, and all of them being true. But one of the things that has been going around the last couple of years is that all gun control is racist, right? And and a lot of people say that because they hear it and it's true. They really can't explain why it's true, but it sounds good to say. And what I wanted to do is, what's part of my mission anyway, is to always educate people. And I'm like, well, why are we saying that? Why are we saying that? I know why, but can you really expound upon it? So doing all my interviews and debates with, anti-gunners on stages and cameras and all this and that, I was like, I found that they would be taken back by what I was saying. So I decided to incorporate all that into not only a fine product of a gun, but I wanted my guns to do something that no other gun has ever done. And I wanted them, because there are two of them, a full size and a compact, and I wanted them to be the first guns to fight gun control. That's exactly what I wanted them to do. They need to be the first guns that actively fight gun control through education. And so how do we do that? And I don't know if this lighting is going to do these things any justice. But
so when I met KD, he was talking about his gun that was coming out, and all he would tell us is, this is the first gun that's going to fight gun control. And we're like, okay, so what else? And he's like, no, that's all I'm going to tell you.
Yeah, you got to wait. You got to wait. So I did just that. And so, yeah, I want people to make sure that we need to do more than just shoot guns. We need to do more than just buy gadgets and gadgets. We have to get involved. So it's meaningful to me to release this. So before I show you the gun, here's the case the gun comes in. So when we talk about gun control being racist, we're going to talk about a couple of reasons why. So that says Black Wall Street, 1921, Tulsa, Oklahoma. A lot of people, I've noticed that well over 90% of people don't know what happened there. Don't even know about the event, never heard of it, never was addressed. And that's not a bad thing. That's an opportunity for education and exposure, and people even go do more and more research, which is why I say they're the first guns to fight gun control. So you got the great story there that's gonna, the great image there that's gonna remind you of the story. And then when you pick up your gun, you're going to get a custom saying by me. That is one of my quotes. Gun control is based in hatred and racism. Historical moments like Black Wall Street will expose the lies and make non-believers conform to the truth. And Black Wall Street, for those who don't know, was a community outside of Tulsa, Oklahoma, or I guess within the city limits of Tulsa, Oklahoma, a suburb, if you will. And Black Wall Street, or Little Africa as it was called, was predominantly, all Black community. And because of segregation then, they had to build their own system of commerce and everything else. And they did. They were very successful at building up their educational system. For every $10 spent, only $1 escaped the community. I mean, these guys were self-sufficient. They were running the show. And that bred a lot of envy and jealousy. Long story short, what happened there is that there was a shoe shiner, a young Black kid that was a shoe shiner. And he got on the elevator, and that's when you had to have the elevator operator, And he stumbled into the elevator and accidentally made contact with the young Caucasian lady that was inside of the elevator as the operator. When the doors opened, she was screaming, he ran off, and it got spun into the fact that he sexually assaulted her. So they arrested him. Word got out that they were going to lynch him, which was still occurring then, that they were going to lynch him. So some of the men of Black Wall Street, some former veterans, went down with their long guns. They weren't allowed to own too many guns, but they had a couple. And they went down with their long guns and told the sheriff that they're going to help protect the police department so the community can't come in and lynch this kid. The sheriff told them it ought to be okay. They stood outside anyway. Some common people decided to walk by, and this is when the Army-Navy law was in effect. The Army-Navy law basically restricted the sale of cheap, inexpensive firearms. And so firearms were pretty expensive, especially handguns. Yeah. So one of the individuals had a handgun. One of the Black guys had a handgun. And the guy that approached him walked across the street, didn't care about a couple of long guns they had. He focused straight on that handgun. And he said, I'm just going to give some explicit language here real quick. But he said, hey, nigger, what are you doing with that handgun? From there, he tried to take it from him, and a shootout ensued between the two groups. That turned into the community, law enforcement, whether by aid or by ignoring, and even state police, tearing, destroying, and eliminating that community in 24 hours. They burnt homes. They killed women and kids. There was one veteran, and I'm going to release this in a longer explanation. There was one veteran who actually stood out front in his uniform and said that, there's no way they will, they're going to shoot me, And he stood outside in his uniform, at attention. They saw him, shot him, and burnt his house down. So when we get into the details, once you pick your case up here, and you get into the details of it, I'm telling you the facts of what happened. A few hundred people killed, 600 businesses, well over 1,000 residents, 10,000 left homeless. There were actual fire bombs dropped from the sky. You can actually catch some photos online of an old crop plane flown by the state police that were dropping bombs from the sky. So the first bomb dropped on America in terrorism was actually on Tulsa, Oklahoma. That's where it was. It wasn't, that's where it happened at first. And history will have us write this off. And it was actually known then that they would say that we need to erase this from the history books. And they did a pretty good job of it. So when the National Guard finally arrived in Tulsa 24 hours later, they escorted all of the whites back home and they arrested the blacks. These are the same people that just had their community slaughtered and tore up and wiped off the face of the earth. And the only way you can be released from the internment camp is to have a white man tag you as a laborer. So you just got through getting murdered, community destroyed, and the only way you can leave an internment camp is for the same people that were murdering you to tag you and say it's okay. And what I want to point out to people is inadequate arms is the same thing as being unarmed. It's the same thing. and they had inadequate arms. So they couldn't resist that kind of tyranny. And when government gets involved, it's tyranny. Make no doubt about that. And so what I'm trying to get America to understand is this happened to a community of Black people, but it still happened to a group of Americans. And that's what America needs to understand. Yeah, they absolutely were minorities. Absolutely. And we shouldn't shy away from that either. But don't forget the American part, right? So that happened to a community of Americans on American soil. And we need to understand that. And gun control played a part in that because they weren't allowed to own guns. And then after that happened, they were stripped of their guns. They couldn't own guns anymore, right? Which just set them up to where they never went back. They couldn't. There was a lot of other legislation that went in to keep them from going back. But these people, entire generations, were wiped off the face of the earth because they had inadequate arms, and then they had their inadequate arms taken from them. They want people unarmed, period. So we tell those stories of what happened and what even law enforcement at the time stood by and let occur. And we tell that through this case. So that is one of them. And now I guess I can show you the gun to that one because I know we got some gun people out here, right? You got some gun people?
Oh, yeah.
All right. All right. So the gun itself that comes in that one, it's a series of guns. So this is the truth. So since gun control is a lie, we're going to fight it by telling the truth. And I welcome you to the truth. This is remanufactured HK VP9. That's the original platform. It is now called the truth. It is not a VP9 anymore because it's not. Because it's not. And for legal reasons, it's not. Okay, but this is the modified HKVP9. This is the truth. So I'll let you just gander, kind of stay still for everybody can see it. A couple of quick features of the gun. The stippling is obviously brought all the way up the back strap. I want you to have that good point of contact, the point of reference to help you out with recoil management a little bit. And on the original platform, there's just slick, polymer here, and that can cause a little bit of slippage. So I wanted to go ahead and just give you all that texture. These guns do come with interchangeable swells in the back strap. So all your panels with this gun are stippled. So no matter which ones you put on, this is going to be your look because they all come stippled. We have the Enforce APL Gen 3. Obviously, Enforce is the company I love and I like the fit of the light and I like the performance of the light, but clearly that's something somebody can swap out if they wanted to make that choice. Let's see, that's the frame. Then there's also reference points for the support hand. You know, it's a beautifully done machine. This thing is, I don't know if people can really appreciate the quality that went into that stippling job. And that's the framework is done up by a great buddy of mine, Wayne over at MLS Customs. These guys do an awesome freaking job. Cerakote framework done by him. Now we can talk about the slide. So if you know anything about the original platform, it is not a problem if you don't. We've taken out some material here. Now we balanced the slide just right. J&L Machining got in and did an awesome job with the slide. We balanced the slide just right, so it does not cause it doesn't cause you to have to change out the internals of your firearm. And that is going to be good because if you put thousands of rounds through it like you should, eventually parts wear, right? And I want you to be able to easily find those parts. I don't want you having to go find, heavy this or alter that. And that was kind of important to me. So I wanted to make sure we did that. And we were able to achieve that. But by cutting some of the weight out, we lightened up the slide a little bit. So the sickle rate is nothing you're going to notice unless you're a really fast shooter. But if you're somebody that runs guns and runs them fast, you will notice it. So the sickle rate is going to pick up just a little bit for you because it's lighter. We got the window cut and the coffin cut. And so you got a lot of weight reduced there. This is a meaty, heavy gun out the box. So it still helps but gives you a solid firearm to work with. On this particular model, we do have the silencer coat threaded barrel coming out the top. The serrations here, I know a lot of people were like, you're taking away my ability to do press checks. Leave it alone, KD. Well, what we did was I actually doubled the depth, essentially, of the serrations, right? So you can still do your press checks or whatever you want to do from anywhere on the gun that you want to do it. I'm shaking the table, but we're relatively. This is not something that's going to be difficult for you, however you want to do it. So press check, that's simple. You're there. Press check over top, that's simple. Whatever you want to do, the gun allows it. And the front here, which is kind of hard to see with the threaded barrel, you actually have bevels cut into the front. You can see these on a couple of different guns. We had ours go a little bit deeper because I wanted to repurpose them. And I'm talking about right there. And what that allows you to do is with any slightly rounded surface or pointy surface, You're actually, instead of marring up your barrel, which I've seen guys and girls do when they're trying to do one-handed manipulations, if you need to get to the slide, you can use the serrations because they're so deep and aggressive. You can use them, or you can actually get into this purchase point up here, and you can press it down on whatever your hard surface is and run the slide that way. So that's that. We have the Heine suppressor front and rear sights on this guy. And then we have the Vortex Venom 6 MOA that's sitting on top of this one. I think Vortex makes a fine optic. If you choose to go with a different cut, RMR, your Hollow Suns, which take the same cut, Burrs, Shields, Leopolds, whatever, we can make it work. I know some of the Burrs can be a little challenging, but we can still make it work. So that is the overall gun. And then obviously the least important part, depending on who you are, is the aesthetics of it. This is not some gun that just had some Cerakote thrown on it. You know, and the blood, just for people know, the red, which is even in my logo, stands for, and it always has stood for, I just don't talk about it a lot, the blood that we shed to have freedom in this country. So that's what it's there for. You can get this thing in all black as well, and obviously you can take off things like the threaded barrel, and we'll have some prices down there that are a little bit more, inexpensive. On the top, we have the Northern Choice logo here, which is kind of hard to see with this camera, but it is logoed up for you. And then on this side, you actually see the truth.
Nice.
Yeah. So, and that is the gun. Everything is done well. Everything is done with quality. Everything is tight. Because the one thing I didn't want to happen is people be like, great, you get out and you tell these cool stories. And yes, okay, these guns get us talking, right? They get us talking. We're factually backing up history why gun control is bad. But you play this, KD, you put a cheap POS in the box. No, we're going to give you a quality machine that runs and runs well. The second one I won't have to talk about as long because some of the features are essentially the same. But it comes in a different case. And you can intermingle the cases. But this one here is the Underground Railroad. So this is a little bit different than the case you saw at SHOT Show. This one's been improved a little bit.
Okay.
So what you have here is a cotton field. You have, get on this side here. You have a cotton field. We all know the Underground Railroad wasn't really a railroad per se, right? So you have the cotton field. You have the railroad running through the cotton field. You have the North Star here because that's what they were always pursuing. You have the landscape in the back and 20 birds total. Those 20 birds represent 5,000 freed souls apiece because roughly 100,000 people escaped via the system. You have the slave catcher here. You have the family running there. And the family is going to run down into the marshlands, which is where a lot of them went to and hid out in, obviously because of getting away from dogs and things like that. But you also had a lot of stuff to eat. So that's why they went and hid out there. And so you can see the marshlands and the family. Obviously the logo, and then that quote by me says, "I'm gun control's worst nightmare because I'm the inconvenient black truth," and that is an absolute fact. So what people don't know about the Underground Railroad, and I'll say this real quick, is that the Underground Railroad was not started to simply free slaves. It was actually started by a group called the Knights of Liberty. Out of they're not from, but they organized here in St. Louis, Missouri. The leader was a guy named Moses Dixon. And those 6 men grew to be over 47,000 men that had American sympathizers and also had foreign sympathizers. Britain sent over a lot of guns to arm them because it wasn't necessarily legal for them to be armed. So they were 47,000 kind of sort of illegally armed people for the most part. So they trained and they built that system of American sympathizers and shelters and things like that to start war on the South. That's why that system was built. Those 47,000 men were using that system to start war on the South. Civil War broke out. So they're like, well, let them two fight it out, right? When Civil War broke out, it got repurposed to just free the slaves, let them escape. And so then you got great conductors like Harriet Tubman that came along and were leaders and helped free the slaves. What goes untold about that system, though, is that there were those same men that started it were the same men that were ready to defend it. So if you came chasing after, you had 47,000 men, well-versed and well-trained, that were ready to defend it. And that's why the reverse Underground Railroad became so popular. Let's let people get settled and comfortable where they are, and we'll just go kidnap them back, because it goes unreported about this militia of men that you would encounter if you went to go pursue them. not including the armed conductors, right? So that's what a lot of people don't realize. So that's how that ties into guns, right? So you had 47,000 illegally armed people that made sure that despite what the law said, they did what was right in their hearts because it was illegal, remember?
Yeah.
But once you take this one out, you get an image that disturbs some people, and that is the slave collar, all right? And the slave collar was put on slaves when they were caught after they attempted to escape, to prevent them from obviously escaping again and to torture them, including eliminating human contact because you couldn't get close to anybody with that thing on. And they came with rings for you to put collars on and walk them around and stuff like that as well. And what I like to tell people is the only difference between gun control then and gun control today is it doesn't care what color the slave is. That's the only difference. It just doesn't care what color the slave is. And that quote up there, what you see in writing, is a quote by Harriet Tubman that says, I've seen, excuse me, I've seen hundreds of escaped slaves, but I never saw one who was willing to go back and be a slave, right? And that's very, very important for the freedom of this country in general. We fought for freedom. Why would we want to turn that back over via gun control, right? And then when it comes down to particular groups, every group is going to have their own story. Irish, Japanese, Native, for Christ's sake. You know, so we want to make sure that everybody understands that we should be working in unison because gun control doesn't care what color the slave is, but it did indeed start for African Americans. There's no debate about that. So we should be able to tell our story and tell our part of the story because it is our communities are being used in a political engine, if you will, to further gun control, and it's going against exactly what our history stood for. So the gun that comes in that little case is this guy. So this is the VP9 SK original platform. This is now the Truth C for compact. It does get it's the butt of a lot of jokes. So you got Mike with Munitions Weapons likes to call it the half truth. You got people calling it the short truth, somewhat of the truth. It's the Truth C for compact. It's all love. It's pretty funny though. So all the mechanical features on this gun are the same. Besides the fact it's smaller, we didn't put a threaded barrel in this one for obvious reasons. This one does come compensated. And so it is compensated. They will ship with night vision sights. The sights on this gun right now are Trijicon HDs, but these will ship from our partners over at Night Vision who jumped in on the project. And this is essentially the same gun. So I don't have to go over everything else. You can get this one with an RMR cut. This was the prototype, so the finished versions will say Truth C. So yeah, those are the Truth Series guns. And I wanted to put something out that will give you a great mechanical firearm, give you something that's great, aesthetically appeasing. It's going to perform as a tool that is meant to be shot. At the same time, something that does a little bit more than just give you another gun. I wanted you to have the first gun step by gun control. I wanted you to have something that educates. You know, so every time you take it to the range, people are like, oh, I'm just going to throw the case in the closet. No, you do that because ain't nothing in your case. Right? We buy a gun now. What's in there? A lock? And I think, you know, one of the most important things I wanted people to realize is that when you open your gun now, it is not only for, and I don't want to make it seem like that, but I try to tell even a lot of minorities that, you know, as we're getting you into understanding freedom and getting you involved and getting you over here and having these great conversations all across the board to get you understanding that you should embrace your 2A rights. People want to see themselves. People want to know that they matter, that you're just not using them. And so what I've been trying to explain to people is I didn't make this to get you just over to guns. This gun also, for me, does something that I wish was done before, personally. Like, if we are going to spend our hard-earned money, why can't I open something that reminds me of me?
Yeah.
Right, you know, so I wanted that. But at the same time, I wanted every American to be able to open it and say, wow, look at this piece of history, right? Look at this education. So there we go. Those are the Truth series of guns.
So you got the Truth, you got the Truth C, right?
The Truth and the Truth C. So the full size is the Truth, and then we have the Truth C.
And when did you say that they should be released?
The website should be up in less than 10 days. I am doing what I'm calling super pre-orders now, and all you have to do is email I want the truth to nocccw@gmail.com. If you send over an email that says, I want the truth to NOCCCW@gmail.com, I will email you the super pre-order details. Really easy. You drop a deposit, you get your gun, get your gun made. I will say this, and one thing that I want to thank America for, I really do. I haven't even released these guns yet. SHOT Show was what, a month ago?
Yeah.
And we're pretty much halfway sold out. And I haven't even done the commercials, the official release, the promos, the real hype, none of that. And people are listening. So as much as we complain, I want to say people are listening because these things they're moving. I mean, they are moving. So I'm happy to hear that. Did you want to tell your people the prices? Because they're probably going to be beating you up asking you that.
Go ahead.
All right. So here's the part that's going to get everybody mad at me. But trust me, it's worth it. So this guy minus the light and the optic, okay, so minus the optic and the light, I want to say it again, minus the light and the optic is $19.75 with the case. They also ship with, don't know if you guys seen it, but I want to make sure you do. Every gun ships with a matching a match to Cerakote light, TFX Enforce TFX light. That comes with your gun. You're not paying anything extra for it. Okay, ships with your gun, Cerakoted to match your firearm. So you get one of those in every single case. You obviously get the case. If you buy this complete package, you get a $200 training certificate to No Other Choice. So you get that, and 10% of my proceeds from this gun go back into Aiming for the Truth. So you're actually donating to charity as well.
Nice.
So you're doing a lot with your purchase. So yeah, and then we have packages if you want to get the armor through us. We're not even marking these things up really, and we're giving a discount on the lights. That way you can have a light that's Cerakoted to match, because if you try to wait 3 months and get something Cerakoted to match, it's just going to look different. It's the way it works. Like painting your car and trying to paint your bumper later. You got to do it all at the same time. So that is the price of this guy. The way it is featured, which is not the way we sell it, you have to add the light in the optic. But if you did this exact light, this exact optic, this complete gun will be $23.20 with the light and the optic, if that's what you decided to do. But we don't sell it with these two, and that is $19.75. Well, we can add them for you, obviously. And the light comes with the free Cerakote. We don't charge you to Cerakote your light. So,
quick question about that.
Yep.
What if they wanted to add a hollow sun to that? Do you guys offer that option?
Absolutely. Yep. We put the RMR code on it, which the Hollow Sun 507C adapts right to.
Okay. So, could they add the Hollow Sun versus the Vortex?
Absolutely. Now, here's one thing I'm going to say though. So I've been on the phone with my great buds over at Hollow Sun, and the 507C is a hot little ticket. Them things, I think you got one, right?
I don't have it anymore. I had one.
So if you have one, I mean, they're just hard to find anywhere in the country. They're just hard to find now. So yeah, if you got one, or if they come in stock, I might have, had them slip me one, maybe. But they are hard to find. But absolutely, yes. Like if you already have one, you can get your hands on one because you just know people that know people. We can absolutely put that on here for you.
Yeah, I think they said about 2 to 3 months they should have a huge order coming in. So if in about 3 months they got their truth money ready and they wanted to purchase and add a Hollow Sun, that's available.
That is available. Absolutely. Okay. You can even, and if you can order it through us, or you can order your Hollow Sun through Skip, and we will just cut it and you can mount it to your gun when you get it.
That's an option as well.
That is an option. And then this little guy is $1,900, the way you see it. That's with it compensated. Now, I do want to say these guns start at $1,475. You are seeing the top models. They do start at $1,475. You know, if you want to just get it all black, if you don't want it compensated, if you don't want the armor cut, there are things that we do allow you to take off. So they start at $1,475, and they top out at the very top price is $1,975. So yeah, this little guy is the way it's seen, except it will have night vision sights on it, is $1,900. But they do start at $1,475. And every single gun, no matter if you spend $1,475 or $1,975, ships with a free Enforce TFX light.
Nice. So there you have it. You have KD with No Other Choice dropping the truth and the Truth C. And they will be available. So about 10 days from today would be around the 10th of March.
Let's see. We are looking, yeah, somewhere up in there. Yep. And if it comes out sooner, the great. I did see the rough draft of the website today, over at the manufacturer. So it's coming along. I just want to make sure when we put it out, we put out something that people like and is interactive and there are no hiccups. I want to make ordering fun. I want to make that fun for everybody. So yeah, when it's up, trust me. I know you're gonna put it all in the show notes and stuff, but all you gotta do is follow NOC firearms training, and trust me, you're going to know. You're going to know.
So around the 10th of March, what we're gonna do is we're going to crash his site. We are going to give him so much traffic that his site just crashes. I mean, that's a good problem to have, right?
Yeah, I'll take that problem all day long. I'll take it all day long. I will say though, if it is something, if you want a piece of history, and look, I'm not a salesman. I'm not. You know, I tell people I'm a mission-based guy, but obviously, you know, money is a real thing. It does not just grow magically, right? And we have money allocated to different places. But if you are buying a firearm and you want something different and you want a piece of history and something that actually is purposeful, there are a lot of good guns out there. But then there's just some things that just stand out. And I think this is one of the ones that just stands out. I think this is, with everything that it encompasses and everything that it represents, these guns are literally the first of their kind in history. And like, I'm not even blowing smoke. Like, that's just the truth. Ha! It's just the truth.
That's just the truth about the truth.
Yeah, just the truth, man.
So you have Katie here talking to us about the truth and the Truth C. If you want a quality firearm that has a piece of history attached to it as well, this is what you need to look forward to. The 10th of March is the official release. If you are looking for the pre-release price, all the info on the pre-release, check down in the show notes, and it has the information to contact KD and get your information.
Yep, and I'll shoot you over email, and we can go from there. I am for every single person that orders the truth, I am calling you.
Ooh.
I'm going to call every single customer. You will get a phone call from me.
Nice.
Yep. So I've talked to everybody that's bought one. Now they'll tell you, like, you were just on TV. You're calling me? Yeah. This is personal. Like, we should be talking. So yeah, I will absolutely call you.
And then, so you have your gun officially releasing around the 10th of March. What's some other things that you have going on?
So right now we are, I have enlisted some assistance, if you will, with Aiming for the Truth, a great community organizer. I cannot wait to introduce her to the world. She's been a friend of mine. She's former police officer from the area and does a lot of great stuff. So Aiming for the Truth is growing, and so we're looking at getting the community program, into a lot of different cities. So we got those cities pretty much, we're lining them up. I believe our first one for this year is going to be in May down in Phoenix, Arizona. Nice. So we'll be down there doing that. But looking to get Aiming for the Truth all around the country. Definitely going to be doing a lot more mentoring with young people and old people. A lot of the things that I focus on is reintroducing dads back into the household. So we'll be doing a lot of that side work, and that all falls up under the umbrella of Aiming for the Truth. Looking forward to the kids getting out of school, because we adopt a classroom and help a school every year. So I'm looking forward to the prizes and things we can do to give back to the kids and see their excited faces toward the end of the school year. Then I've been pitched for a couple of TV shows. We'll see how that goes. I don't want to speak on them too soon. We'll see how the TV shows go. Getting booked for a couple of speaking engagements. So they aren't totally confirmed yet, but I'll be traveling and speaking. I'll be at a couple of state rallies this year. I'll be all over the place. I'll be in Florida a couple of times. I'll be in California. I got Texas, Illinois. I believe New York's even coming up this year. Washington, Idaho. We'll just be all over this country trying to get the good word spread. And I'm just trying to stay busy and trying to change the world. So between advocacy, speaking, civil rights, then firearms training, and then community outreach. I'm around a lot. So I'm happy to say that I got some assistance with the community outreach, And I brought in a business partner with the firearms training. So it allows me to move around more, be a little freer,
Yeah.
and get some stuff done and grow.
Okay, so another event that I've been watching very closely because I'm trying to be a part of it as well. Don't you have a industry event coming up?
Yeah, so I'm having May 24th through the 26th here in St. Louis, Missouri. We're right outside of St. Louis, Missouri. I'm having an event called the NOC Train and Learn Industry Event. And the reason I'm having that event is this. There are a lot of people that are involved in this aspect of what we do, whether it's you're a 2A advocate, whether it's you just believe in rights for all people, whether you're in media or you're just a blogger, or you just started a small YouTube channel, or you're an instructor, or whatever you do, just, you do some segment of this. I am happy to say, but at the same time, it's a little bit overwhelming that I get a lot of emails, a lot of inboxes, and people wanting to talk and wanting advice and things like that. And I don't pretend to know everything, but I know enough to be dangerous. I've done a lot in the last 2.5 years to get where I'm at. And that's come because I know a lot of great people, right? And a lot of great people have helped me out. So with the lessons I've learned, I wanted to be able to give back, but I just nobody can. I physically cannot, between everything I do, plus having a wife and 2 kids, I physically can't spend an hour on the phone with, 8-9 people a day. I can't do it. So I wanted to be able to put on an event. So this event here is going to be a little different than just another gun event that you go to. It's going to be a little bit more intimate. We're inviting a total of 40 people. That's how many tickets we have. And the event is meant to educate you about how to grow your business and be successful at what you do. So we're going to spend Friday afternoon having workshops, small breakout sessions. And those are going to cover things along the lines of building your brand, understanding social media, how to market yourself, how to negotiate deals with companies, what you should be looking for, how to value, how to know your own worth in the industry and what you're doing. So real business behind the scene things. We're going to cover that. And I'm even bringing in a couple of people that work for major companies that are coming to speak about these subject matters, right? So this just isn't me standing in front of you talking. These are guys that do it that you never see.
Yeah.
You never see. But these are the people that are making those decisions. But you're gonna see them that day because they're gonna be up there talking. After we get done Friday with the education piece and the workshop piece, we're going to get up Saturday bright and early in the morning. We're going to have 3 small educational seminars outside on the range, 1 covering self-defense, 1 breakout session. These are gonna be about 30 minutes long. Self-defense, just empty hand stuff. We're gonna have another one that's going to be covering medical, how do you deal with trauma and things like that. And then a third one is going to go over some gear and gear options and how you actually buy gear and things of that nature. And then we're going to put everybody through a pistol class, a level 1 pistol class. Now, these are going to be, I brought in my buddy Ken Scott with Prevectus Group to co-instruct with me this weekend. And I also brought in a special guest instructor by the name of Dustin Pluth, who is a nationally ranked Springfield Armory competition shooter. Nice. So you're going to get a lot of education this weekend. And we're going to get out there and we're going to run everybody through a class because I want people, as you're putting up content, I want you putting up content that is right. I don't want you holding a gun wrong. I don't want you doing, silly things with it. We want you to be educated and informed. Because not everybody that does what we do knows guns that well. It's just, that's not their thing. They're just here to spread the word and get the message out. But so we want to help them out with that. After we get done with that, we're going to go do a vehicle, same day, we're going to take a nice break, and then we're going to go do an anti-carjacking class, a vehicle course. And some of that's going to be at nighttime. There may or may not be smoke bombs involved. I don't know. Things happen. So we'll do that, and then we're going to end the evening with we're going to have a live hog roast. Well, the hog won't be alive. The hog will be dead. We'll have a dinner. The featured meat will be a hog that is slaughtered that morning and is roasted and prepared for us on site. We'll obviously have some options for people that don't eat the pig. We'll have other options, but we'll eat. We'll do the responsible thing with the guns. We'll drink. We'll have a good time. Sunday, we're going to get up and we're going to do a collaboration day. So Sunday is all about the collab because you need content, right? Your channels need content. They just need it. If you're a writer, you need stuff to write about. So I'm going to give you that. Not only can you network and cross-pollinate with all the other people that are coming, if you're an instructor, you're going to have instructors on site that are going to give you feedback as an instructor, as you work with students. We're going to give you feedback. You're going to be able to do videos with people from across the country that you probably won't see again for another year, where you can get some content together. I want there is no reason why you should come to this event and not leave with at least 6 months worth of content, minimum.
Yeah.
Right. And at the same time, outside of the people, we're going to put roughly about 10 firearms that are brought in by other companies for you to shoot and actually have that content as well. So you'll be able to, you don't have to worry about ordering a gun or paying for a gun or hoping somebody sends you a gun for free. You'll have the Truth to be there. The Advocate by Coleon Noir will be there. We're going to have the Prevectors Group Elite by Ken Scott will be there. We're going to have Maj Touré's Solutionary Lifestyle Rifle will be there. And we got a couple other ones coming in. We got Century Arms sending a couple of goodies. We got a couple other companies sending goodies and other products to be reviewed, not including the stuff we might be giving away. So you're going to be able to pick up a gun, go out there and do a review on the spot. You're going to be able to create a ton of content. Now, here's the beautiful part about that. It's the price. You get that entire weekend. Now, you're going to pay for your hotel and all that. I'm just talking about the registration for the course. You get that entire course with the one big meal included for free for $150. Like, if somebody's not willing to invest that in themselves, there is no point in me picking up the phone talking to you.
Yeah. Because
it's just a hard truth. I have spent thousands upon thousands of dollars investing into myself. A lot of money. And a lot of time and a lot of effort and a lot of bang on my head and a lot of blessings, because I've had a lot of guys and girls look out for me and help me out along the way, a lot of them. But I think they did that because they saw me investing in myself, right? So you have to be willing to place that investment in yourself. I've never seen anything like this offered anywhere in the country. So I wanted to make sure that people understood that if you see something, if you observe it, fix it, right? So it doesn't matter how many followers you have. I don't care. I don't care if you have 2 followers. I don't care if you have 2 million. We can all get better and we can all learn from each other. So it doesn't matter to me. So I'm not going to be turning my nose up if I go look at your social media after registration and you got 100 Instagram followers. I don't care. Are you trying to make something of yourself? Are you trying to do better? Do you want to learn the inside of this industry? Do you want to learn tips and tricks from guys that have been successful and girls that have been successful? Not including the special guest people that are going to be there as students themselves. I haven't told people who's coming. Like it would be a mistake to miss it. I'm just going to say that. It will be a mistake. It'll be a mistake. And you get, you're guaranteed to get 3 of the best instructors around, and 2 of them, that a lot of people know well, or myself and Ken Scott. And some of these other people, you'll get to meet and you'll get to know, and you'll see how awesome they are. So what does a normal level 1 pistol class cost nowadays?
About 150, maybe 200.
Yeah, I've seen them go, depending on the instructor. I mean, I've seen them go as high as $450, $500. So I know my level 1 pistol class is $200. So I'm going to give you all that entire weekend, including classroom, 2 gun classes, because you get a pistol class and a vehicle class. You get 2 classes, a free meal, and a collaboration day where I'm providing the guns for your content. $150.
Business advice.
Yeah, and not just from me. You don't have to say, "Oh, Katie don't know everything," but I'll tell you this, and here's what I will tell you. You go over and look at my Instagram followers. Now, I'm just using Instagram for an example. You go over and you look at my Instagram followers, it's just over 7,000 as of today, right? And a lot of people will ask, well, if you Google me, you'll see me everywhere. And I'm like, well, how the hell? How are you on the cover of Time magazine and doing all this crap if you only got 7,000 Instagram followers? Remember, people will invest in you if you invest in yourself. 1, that's 1. 2, if you are focused on numbers and you're not willing to get out there and do the effort, you'll always be what those numbers say you are, right?
Yeah.
You'll always be that. And I'll tell people in class how you get past that. I'm not going to say it right now, but I'll tell them in class how you can succeed past that. But if you look at just the numbers, people might say, well, this dude ain't gonna be able to help me. They might actually, there are people I know that have 3 times the followers as I do and are not half as active as I am. right? But why? Why are they so dormant? How did they amass such a following? But yet they're dormant. Like, and what does that look like? And how do you get past that? So I'm trying to help, not by just me, but by putting the professionals in front of you, giving you the tips and tricks. So it's up to you if you want to say, I want to invest in myself. I'm going to come down there for 3 days. I'm going to learn some stuff. I'm going to have a good time. I get 2 classes. I get to eat good, and I get to make content for my stuff. I'll give you $150. Like, if you're not, I don't know what else to say.
And so this is for pretty much anyone that's in that two-way environment. You can, like he said earlier, you can be a blogger. You can have the idea that you want to start training people or you want to become an advocate, right? But you haven't started yet. So don't feel like you may be too small to go to this event. And don't feel like you're too large to go to this event either. This event is for everyone, and it's for us to come together, to connect and learn from each other, because we have to learn. There may be a strength that Katie has, but then it may be a weakness for me, or it may be a weakness for you. So let's come together, learn. And I mean, $150, you really can't beat that.
Nope. It's like that. And I did that on purpose. I'm not trying to make money off people. You know, it's the same way I feel about even my firearm. People are like, oh man, 1975, you crazy? No, if you knew how much of a cut that I was taking, I'm out here I'm just trying to help, man. I'm just trying to help. So $150 for you to invest back in yourself. You leave with all the content you want. I mean, we're gonna have, you know, cameras for people that don't have cameras. You know, just where you can record. I'm gonna tell you, just bring an SD card so you can take your footage back. I'm going to bring out my own GoPro, my own personal cameras, or you can record if you don't have that stuff. This is all meant to assist and to help. So you can go back and be like, I'm better now. And then go out and conquer the world, man. Conquer it. Take it over. I don't want anybody to feel like, oh, man, I'll never. Yeah, you're lazy. I don't pull no punches with people. No, you're lazy. You're either going to invest in yourself or you're not. And nobody's doing it. And like, I take, because one of the things I do is speak. So I'm always looking at motivational speaking classes. And, man, Eric Thomas is one of my favorite people walking God's earth.
Mine too.
That man, woo! You seen the price of that dude class even when it's on sale?
How much is it?
Oh, I caught one on sale for $1,400.
Okay.
You know what I'm saying? So and just to go, that's how much he's charging people to come better themselves. I'm not saying it ain't worth it, because Eric Thomas is gonna get you right. Yeah. I'm not saying it's not worth it, but if people are willing to drop $1,400 on sale into themselves, you ain't gonna drop $150. Because that's what people are charging to do these things. If you go try to take a class on social media, they're several $100s. Easy, you know. So to be able to come do all this for $150, I think is a great deal, because I just want people to grow. And if we need more people in the 2A community out there, no matter what you do as part of that community. And if I can help anybody, I will, including Skip, who's yawning on me, so I'm gonna shut up.
No, so guys, I am yawning. I've had a very long day, but I could not miss this time to sit down with Katie and have him just educate us all on not only what he's doing, where he came from as well. So this event, $150, anyone in the 2A space can sign up and attend. And what they're doing is they're giving you all the plays, right? You just have to record them in your playbook and you have to execute. So go get educated and spread the good word. Yeah, so I have a couple questions for you. When it comes to firearms instructors, what advice would you give someone wanting to become a firearms instructor?
Don't oversell yourself. Stop. Don't oversell you. That's the first thing. Be very open and honest with your students about your background, and be very open and honest with your students about what you are comfortable teaching. Don't put anything out there that you are not very, very, very capable of doing yourself. And I don't mean because you saw one person do it and now you're doing it. Be honest, people. That's why the instructor world has become so watered down. Be yourself and be honest about who you are. Everybody is not a tactical ninja. They're just not. Don't oversell it to students. Don't lie to students. Be you. Let who you are shine, and that's going to be up to each individual. But just calm down. Just tell people, hey, this is who I am. If you're somebody that was a carpenter and your dad taught you how to shoot and you're just happen to be really, really good at shooting, tell people that. Hey, man, I do this part-time. I'm a carpenter, but I can show you some stuff. And be very upfront and honest with them. Show them a couple of videos of you doing whatever you do and call it a day, because I think instructors now, everybody feels like they got to be a Green Beret or a SEAL. And you don't. There are very, very, if you look at the grand scheme of things, you'll be surprised how many people are turned off by instructors like that.
Yeah.
And nothing that they did. Like, they're just honest about who they are. Like, oh yeah, I was a Navy SEAL. And they're very casual about it. They're not trying to boast or brag. But a lot of people will hear that and be like, hey man, I ain't ready to train with you. And they start looking for people that they feel aren't as intimidating. So just be yourself. But the biggest thing is, do not oversell yourself and invest in yourself. And that means that's just not a ploy to come to the event. That means, who are you training with on a regular basis? Do you have a mentor? Who is showing you the ropes? How long have you been doing it? I have seen people that I literally had a student, this was several years ago, went through one of my concealed carry classes. And I saw this guy shoot. Wasn't impressive, and I wasn't looking at him to be impressive. 3 or 4 months later, I go to the range to qualify some students, and all of a sudden he has a shirt on that says instructor, and he's running his own classes. And I'm looking like, dude, like 3 months ago, you didn't even know how to load a magazine. And all of a sudden you're teaching? Like, because you can go get a certification somewhere, that's great to have, but it doesn't mean that you are ready to now start transferring information into other people, right? Yeah. So it can be pretty dangerous. So that would be my advice to start with.
And I think that's really valuable. That's something that I kind of struggled with when I came out with Skip's Tactical Solutions, because I feel like I do have a different, I guess, swag about myself, mm-hmm. And I had to be comfortable delivering the way that I deliver. I don't want to deliver like anyone else. And there's people who want to be a part of my tribe, and then there's people who don't want to be a part of my tribe. But I think people have to understand that not everyone's for everyone. And the people who don't want to be a part of your tribe, you just have to respect that they don't want to be a part of your tribe. There's somewhere else, there's someone else out there for them. Yeah,
absolutely. You can't train if everybody in the country right now said, I'm only training with Skip, you would fold up shop. Like, can't train, you can't train everybody. And what's for you is for you, and everybody's got their own philosophy and how they do things, but you're absolutely right. I mean, some people are going to rock with you and some people aren't. It's just the way it is.
Yeah, but just be comfortable in who you are and what you know, and then be comfortable in what you don't know. I'm very comfortable reaching out to someone else on their expertise. I'm not an expert in everything. And I will tell you that I'm not an expert in everything. When it comes to one subject, I may refer to someone else, and I'm comfortable doing that because I don't want to give wrong information. And I would advise you to be comfortable in that, in your own, pretty much your own life. Like, if you're not comfortable with finances, then you're going to have a professional for that. Just like with firearms, if you're not very efficient in something, effective in something, just refer to a professional, and you can't go wrong with that.
Yeah, you're right. You're right. I absolutely 100% agree.
All right. So I have something that I started, just a little quick skip thing. So if there's one person that you could reach out to and tell them how much you appreciate them, who would it be and why?
One person, huh? Reach out to and say how much I appreciate them. Do they have to be living?
They do not have to be living. And my philosophy behind this is I feel like we have to let people know that we appreciate them. I think a lot of the times we, within our heads, appreciate people and say, oh, thank you. But how many times is that thank you really thought out? Or how often do you put more behind that thank you? Thank you for helping me at SHOT Show and letting me hang out with you and teach me the ropes on some of the things, right?
Right.
A lot of people really don't put that thought behind it and let people know how much they appreciate them or how much they appreciate a certain event. So I'm just trying to jog people's memory and remind them that you need to be appreciative, and, you know, you want to let people know that while they're still around. But your person does not still have to be around.
That, you know, that's interesting. And I think because I tell everybody thank you so much, that's the only reason there's a lot of people I'm not going to say, because they know it. They'll be like, dude, shut up. I'm like, thank you anyway. You know what I mean? But one person from the past I will say thank you to will be Moses Dixon. So, and my ancestors in general. So you can't see my shirt here, but it says, my ancestors paid the price and I'm just the receipt. That's what that says. All right. And I even have a hat here, which I didn't wear, but it says receipt. All right. And my ancestors paid on the back. I'm big for that because they died for me to be able to sit here and have a conversation with you.
Yep.
So that's a big deal for me. And currently living that I wish I could reach out to and say thank you. Oh man. You know, that's a really, really good one. And I really want to give an answer. I just don't want to give something just because it sounds good. Who is somebody I would reach out to and just say thank you that I haven't already said thank you to?
And it could be someone that you've already said thank you to, but you just want to reiterate how much you appreciate them.
You know what? I'm going to go. Man, this is a really good one. There's so many people that have done so many great things. Well, I'll go in my personal life and nothing to do with guns as per se. And oddly enough, this is going to sound a little cheesy. Does it have to be somebody that everybody else recognizes?
It can be whoever you want it to be. I'm
gonna say my wife, and that's because that is my superhero. That is my shero. That is my everything. That girl stands behind me, pushes me, challenges me, is there when this becomes too much. I've woken up to her several times, praying over me. Like, that is my everything. And I don't talk about her a lot in this sphere because I'm too public. And I don't need her getting attacked for anything. But if I'm ever going to give an extra thank you to anybody, it's going to be my queen. It's going to be my wife.
That's great. I think a lot of times with our spouses, sometimes they really don't get the acknowledgement. I know for me, being military, there's always someone holding down the fort. And you just kind of acknowledge, like, oh, hey, I appreciate you holding down. But to really sit back and think about those, especially, so you went to SHOT Show, you have children, someone had to hold down the fort while you were at SHOT Show. When you're teaching, someone has to hold down the fort, whether it be she may be paying the bills, or she may be working, or she may be making dinner, folding up laundry. There's always someone. And for me, you know, I have a spouse as well. And my spouse has to sometimes pick up the slack when I'm not there. So I do, kudos to you. And I mean, thanks for giving your queen a shout out. And so shout out to Katie's wife for holding it down, being his rock, and doing all the things that she needs to do to support you.
Yeah, she's awesome. She is absolutely phenomenal. And I tell people all the time, I'm an old school. I got an old soul. And I'm not saying I'm perfect. Lord forbid. Don't hold me up to a perfect standard. All right. But, you know, I'm an old school in a way of looking at it like that. That woman gave me children. You know what I mean? Like, I'm always going to be in debt to her. She gave me many me's walking the earth. Right. My bloodline wouldn't continue if it wasn't for her creating it. So, yeah, I couldn't think of another human being walking the earth currently that I owe more to than her.
And I absolutely respect that. So as far as no other choice, firearms training, where can the Skips Tactical Solutions podcast listeners connect with you?
All the skippers out there, I'm sorry, the people call y'all skippers. All the skippers out there can, it's several different ways to get me. You can just look up my name, Kevin Dixie. And it's just like Dixieland, D as in dog, IXIE. All the social media is pretty much the same. If you go to your search bar, it's NOC for no other choice, just NOC, firearms training on pretty much all your content on your channels. YouTube is NOC Firearms channel. That'll be the only difference. And then you can look up KD for Kevin Dixie of NOC on all your platforms as well, and all that'll come up. Yeah, emails out there, social media exists. I'm live and well, so I'm out there a lot. So if you type it in any of your platforms, the only one I'm not on a ton is Twitter. Twitter just people argue on Twitter a lot. I don't know. I just don't understand Twitter. I'm on there, but it's more so just to keep up with what's going on than it is to interact. But Facebook, Facebook and Instagram are going to be the platforms I am the most, and that's where you can find me the most active.
So go ahead, head over to Instagram, Facebook, and follow No Other Choice Firearms, and you can also follow Katie of No Other Choice.
Katie of NOC. And you can look up on Instagram. It's only on Instagram right now, but Aiming for the Truth. And so it has its own page for if you're looking for motivation, if you want to see what we do for the community, all that information will be isolated there as well. Well, not isolated, but it will be concentrated there as well.
And as far as events, he has his new firearm release coming up soon, which should be around May 10th. So this episode will drop. March 10th. So this episode will drop before his firearm is released. So you can also reach out to him for the pre-order. And he has a event coming up, and we will post that in the show notes as well. Make sure that you just flood his social media, flood his website, and his YouTube as well. So is there any last things that you would like to share with the listeners?
No, just be easy, be good stewards of society, as I'm pretty sure you guys already are. Love each other, embrace each other, understand that we're all in this fight of making a better country together. Sometimes I even have to sit back and think that, not too long ago, I was watching the leaders of the world. Now we are the leaders of the world, we are the ones that are in control of this world right now. And we should take that responsibility seriously. So I just hope everybody knows that, and you do whatever you can in your world to be the best leader you can. And let's just all be strong, be good-willed Americans, and never be afraid to speak your mind, but never be afraid to open your heart.
All right, there you have it. You heard it straight from KD of No Other Choice Firearms Training. And thank you for tuning in to this week's episode of the Skips Tactical Solutions podcast.
Skippers.
See you later.
Skippers.
All right, so I want to say that I really appreciate KD of No Other Choice Firearms for coming on to the Skips Tactical Solutions podcast this week. He has a lot of great things going on, so make sure that you go give him a follow. And now it's time for this week's review of the week. So if you don't know, every single week I shout out one of my amazing listeners for tuning in to the Skips Tactical Solutions podcast and taking the time out to leave a rating and a review in their podcast player. So this week's review of the week comes from iTunes, and it is Derek Muck, and his title is Black Woman with a Gun. And he left this review on February 7, 2019. It says, I was very entertained and impressed with the interview with Pastor Ken. I love that guy. Avery is a very knowledgeable firearms instructor and a fun podcast to listen to. I wish you the best of luck in your future. Please keep cranking out content. The more episodes you crank out, the better you're going to get. So Derek Muck, I really appreciate you leaving that rating and review, and I appreciate you for following. I see you on, I know my Facebook page for sure, and I appreciate every single thing that you repost and every comment as well. So I'll definitely keep cranking out the content, and I guess I can only get better, right? But Pastor Ken is amazing, and I appreciate the time that he is spending with me on the Talk to Me Thursday post, and I appreciate the time that he is giving me on his podcast as well, Black Man with a Gun. So if you have not left your 5-star rating and review on the Skips Tactical Solutions podcast, I would really appreciate it if you did. I love when you guys repost the podcast and just communicate with me on how you feel. If you're not following me on Facebook or Instagram, what are you waiting for? Head there now, make sure that you follow. And if you are not subscribed to the YouTube channel, go ahead, head there now and subscribe. The YouTube channel is Skips Tactical Solutions. And I'm going to be working on some content, but by the time you guys get this episode, I will have hit 1 year in business. So if you would like for me to do a 1 year anniversary podcast, please let me know. And if you have any feedback for the podcast, please let me know as well. I love when you guys reach out, email, DM, or Facebook message. But I love when you guys reach out to me and let me know how you feel and let me know if there's a certain episode that you want me to put out there. So thanks for tuning in. And also, I would like to know, do you guys like the live videos? Because if you like the live videos, we'll keep cranking them out. But if you just rather the audio, then we can just do the audio. Make sure that you head over to my website, which is skipstacticalsolutions.com. This week, the week of the first week of March, I will be at Podfest between the 6th and the 9th of March. So if you're in Orlando, Florida, please let me know. And if you're going to be at Podfest, please let me know so that we can make contact and at least say hi to each other. If you are not subscribed, head there now. And I appreciate you guys for tuning in to the Skips Tactical Solutions podcast. And I hope that you'll be tuning in for the next week's episode. Have a good week.